Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Ladies and gentlemen, from now on in the beginning of my videos, I am going to include this message right here. Take a look at the top message right here. That is not me. Now take a look at this one here in the bottom. This is me. And you will notice that next to my thumbnail, not only is my name kind of like highlighted in gray or black, but it also has a check mark next to it. I'm going to leave this short message in the beginning of every one of my videos. That way people don't get scammed anymore. So don't get scammed, ladies and gentlemen. All right? Don't get scammed. That would be heartbreaking for me to know that someone lost a lot of money because they followed one of these comments or replies that was left to them in my name, when in all actuality, it's not me. Now, for today's video, I want to talk about a couple of things today. The first half of this video is going to be talking about how long should you prepare for, right? How long should you prepare for? Because what are you going to do once your preps run out? And then the second half of the video is going to be somewhat of a rant, but I'm not going to get excited, all right? I'm going to try not to get excited, but it's something that I have to get off my chest, because if not, I'll just keep thinking about it. Anyways, how much preps should we have, ladies and gentlemen? I just finished watching a short video, and I forgot the name of the gentleman, but this guy looked like he was, squared away. And he was saying, what are you going to do when your preps run out? And I actually had that same question asked to me by one of my soldiers when I was still in the Army. I said, what are you going to do if something happens? He says, I'm just going to get a gun and bullets. He says, I'm not going to bother preparing. If something bad happens, I'm just going to go out and take from people that prepared. And I'm like, why wouldn't you just prepare instead? And then he said, well, what am I going to do when the food runs out? All right, what am I going to do when the preps run out? Well, ladies and gentlemen, there's something that you have to understand first and foremost if you fall in line of what are you going to do when your preps run out. Crises is a word because crises is finite. Crises exists, right? Throughout history, we've had several crises. Some of them are short. Some of them are very long, meaning some of them may only last a week or two. For example, let's take a look at all the power outages that occurred here in the last couple of weeks due to that Arctic freeze or Arctic blast that the lower 48 in Canada received. For a lot of people, that was a crisis, right? So most people that were prepared and had thought ahead and planned ahead to be prepared for something like that, they made it through just fine. A lot of people, unfortunately, they passed away because they were not prepared and they were not ready to handle that circumstance. However, that crisis is finite, meaning that it had a beginning date and it had an ending date. And I believe that throughout history, if you look at all crises, that if you're prepared enough, and I'm going to talk about the second half, what happens when you run out of preps. But if you are prepared enough in all of the ways that you possibly can be prepared personally, that you will make it through better than those other people that never prepared, right? Because you can take a look at long crises. Look at Venezuela. Venezuela, in my opinion, I would say, has been going through a crisis for about the last 10 years. Ever since, I believe it was around 2012, when their economy and their financial structure pretty much collapsed. They've been going through a crisis ever since. Well, depending on how people prepared throughout that country depends on how their standard of living was able to keep up with the inflation, with the crime, with the lack of food, sustenance, lack of medical care or medical equipment or over-the-counter medicines, etc. Some people, believe it or not, were prepared enough where they could afford to put some of their excess wealth into precious metals. And when their food started running out, they started using those precious metals to go out into the free market and trade. Even though Venezuela, in my opinion, doesn't really have or hasn't really had a free market for a long time. Just like us here in the United States, we just have the luxury of having the printing press and the reserve currency, but I digress. So even though they may have run out of food from whatever preps they may have had, they were still able to go ahead and take some of their preserved wealth in the form of gold and silver and go out into the free market and trade it for food and for services that they needed. And I'm pretty sure that they're still doing that today as far as trading gold and silver for services and things that they need in order to sustain their standard of living. So depending on how long you prepare for, would depend on how long you will be able to sustain your standard of living. Well, what happens after your preparations are gone? What happens if we fall into a crisis that's long enough to where you just cannot supplement your preps with the things that you can actually get? Because things aren't going to just disappear from the stores. In my opinion, things will still be available in the store for people to buy. They just won't be able to afford it. I referred to this on a video a while back, probably over a year ago. I watched this video from a young man in Venezuela who went to several supermarkets that were stocked to the rafters. I mean, these supermarkets had everything that they needed. But I think this was probably 2 or 3 years ago, where things were still a little bit rough. But there was food everywhere, ladies and gentlemen, but people were still starving. And why is that? It's because of what I think is going to happen here in the United States and many of the Western nations, is that people are going to be priced out of food. So when you hear me say food shortages, I don't necessarily mean food shortages due to scarcity. I mean food shortages also because people just can't afford to buy the food anymore. So they have to sustain themselves by just getting whatever they can get with what they have. Well, once people's preps run out, if you didn't think ahead and maybe preserve some of your excess wealth with precious metals, then that's where community comes in. And this right now is the time when you want to start building those relationships. Believe it or not, I have relationships here within this community that if things went south, that I know that I can count on those people. And those relationships that I've built, a lot of them started out as business relationships, where I actually hired someone to come here and do something. And throughout the years, we become really good friends, where we actually go to each other's homes and visit, you know, to have a good time and do some fellowship. But I know that I can trust this person. I know that this person has a service, a skill that is very useful during any time. And I know that if something were to ever happen where I needed their assistance in the worst of time, that they will come to me, and they know the same thing of me, that I will come to them. Right? So we actually go to each other right now. Even though we are not conducting business, we are now friends. We still go to each other to ask questions, to ask for help, etc. So building that community, you know, and building the skills also that you're going to need, that is very important. That's how you survive once your preps run out. And one of the things that the gentleman that I was watching mentioned is that you can survive on your skills. Well, I really do have to disagree with that, because one person can't do everything. You see, this person was saying, yeah, I can go ahead and take my skills, and I can take a knife and a ferrocerium rod or whatever, and I can go out there and survive in the woods. But how many people can really do that? How many people have the time nowadays, especially when most people are just trying to keep their heads above water? How many people have the time to learn all of those skills and become masterful at all of those skills? Not many people do. And even if you did have the aptitude to learn all of those skills, how many people do? Not many people do, right, ladies and gentlemen? And or how many people have the time to go out there and learn all that stuff? How many people have the time to go out into the woods for 2 weeks and practice their skills? Not many people can do that. So I am a very big proponent of 3 things, right? 3 things that's going to help you endure whatever crisis may come your way. Number 1, first and foremost, be prepared. Have everything that you're going to need, everything I've been talking about for the last several years. Have everything that you feel that you're going to need to get you through an extended period of time. And that extended period of time, it depends on you how long that will be, right? Because you're the one that has to live with the consequences of your decisions. So have all of the preps. I say get stuff. Get as much stuff as you can put away, because it gives you time. It gives you time to think, where you don't result to knee-jerk reactions. So that's what preps are for. It gives you time to think, to get through that crisis. What am I going to do next? So the more time that you've given yourself by the amount of preps that you have put away, that you're hopefully rotating through, right? That way they'll pretty much last indefinitely. The more time that you have to think. And then you also have to have those skills that you feel, depending on what part of your life you're in, because age does matter, and depending on what part of the world you live in, because geography matters as well. So make sure that you are proficient in those skills that you will need for your situation. Right? Are you doing gardening? Do you know how to change a flat tire? Do you know how to change some brakes? Do you know how to build a simple shed? Just things like that. And do you know how to do basic first aid? Do you know how to stop bleeding? Do you have your antibiotics? That's one of the preps that I think everyone ought to have. Right? Because it's not something that you can just make out of nature. And if you can, it's not something that everyone knows how to do. So be prepared. And you do need to brush up on your skills, but you also need community, because in the end, it will be community that gets you through it. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Now, let me go ahead and talk about the second part of this video. I hope that you got something out of that first part. There's a lot of ugly in the world. And I've noticed here in the last several years, man, every time that I think at how long I've been doing this on YouTube here, I'm like, man, I've been doing this for that long already. I think the Alaska Prepper channel has been active for, I think, a little over 6 years now, right? 6 years, almost 6.5. So it's incredible how fast time flies. But when you're exposed to a lot of people around the world, unfortunately, you get to see the ugliness in the world. And a lot of that ugliness is not exposed during the comments, because I have a hold tab or a hold folder where when YouTube notices that someone is saying something that's pretty nasty, they go ahead and throw it there first. And then I get to review it, and either I get to put it on the regular comments, or I get to just delete it because the person's just nasty. But whenever I get to that folder, you can tell how nasty a lot of humanity really is. And those people, ladies and gentlemen, those are the people that are going to end up in line waiting for government to help them out. So when you see nastiness like that, because I can't see every single one of my comments, it's impossible for me, and I will not hire someone to do that for me. Right? My moderators, you know, bless their soul, they do their best, and they do their best to try to block scammers, and they let me know whenever there's someone on there that's really nasty. And I've even gotten some emails before from some of you, our awesome community members, telling me, hey, Pete, take a look at this guy. This guy never has anything good to say. He's always talking bad about everyone on here, you know. And I'm like, okay, thank you very much. And I look it up, and I make whatever decision I want to make. Now, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that may say, well, what about freedom of speech? Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a question about that. Let's say that you invite someone over to your home to have dinner. And every time that they come to your home, all they do is talk down on you. All they do is curse you. All they do is harass your family and maybe whatever other friends you may have during that gathering. Would you invite that person to your home anymore? Because I get this a lot. Well, what about freedom of speech? Well, it's your home, right? So are you going to continue to invite that person to your home? More than likely you're not. Because every time you invite them to your home, all they do is disrespect you. So is that someone that you would want to have in your home? More than likely not. Same thing here. If somebody comes on this channel and all they ever do is cuss at me or cuss at everyone else, and I can literally click a few buttons and see every single comment that any one subscriber has ever left since they subscribed to the channel, or even while they weren't subscribed to the channel. I can see every single comment. So if I click on someone who's just a pain in the ass, right? Excuse my French. And I see that that person provides absolutely zero value to our community, I don't want anything to do with that person. I have more important things to do, right? This prepping thing, this thing is not a hobby. This is reality. We need to be prepared. We need to wake people up. And we are waking people up, believe it or not. We are doing that. So, you know, I just want to tell you that if you see comments like that and they're not gotten rid of, it's not because I'm not looking at all of the comments, but because I can't look at all of the comments and get rid of them. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's just impossible. The second thing that I want to talk about is, man, you know what? I got, after our live stream yesterday, I was somewhat upset. And I'm going to tell you why, all right? And I'm going to share this with you. I was somewhat upset when I kind of like lost my temper for a little bit. Right, at that person that said, what is this? This is the longest infomercial or whatever that I've seen. Something like that, right? I was kind of upset at that. And why, I'm going to tell you why I was upset at that. And then I'm going to tell you why I'm talking about it now. So after the live stream, I just brushed it off. I'm like, okay, done. No big deal. Just let it go. It is what it is. Some people will never change. But then this morning I received an email, and I'm assuming that it was from that person. I don't remember their name, right? And I'm not going to look back at it because I really don't care. But I just want to tell you how fragile our society is. I received an email from someone telling me, if you raise your voice at someone during one of your videos, that could be construed as mental abuse. And then they went on to tell me how I should be doing my videos, how I should be talking, how I should have, a connection with the, eye connection or whatever you call it, right? So this is for anyone out there that thinks that I'm going to change how I am. I'm not. I am not a perfect person by any means. I'm not even near perfection. I'm not even like 1/100% of being perfect. I'm just a man out here doing what I love to do, which is sharing my life with you about prepping, sharing my life with you about everything, showing you my good times with my grandson and stuff like that. That's who I am. That's what I do. I will not change for anyone. I will say ladies and gentlemen whenever I need to say ladies and gentlemen. Whenever my heart tells me, hey, say ladies and gentlemen, that's how I do it. And I know that I overuse that term, but I don't overuse it because it's who I am. And who I am is who I am. And I will not change for anyone. So please don't send me an email telling me to make more eye contact. Please don't send me an email telling me that I mentally abused you because you can't take criticism. If you can't take criticism and if you can't live by the consequences of your decisions, then just don't watch the video. Go watch kitty cat videos or something like that. All right, ladies and gentlemen? Because if you are so fragile that you can't take 15 seconds of someone telling you, hey, if you think this is an infomercial, just go away. Why are you even here? If you can't take 15 seconds of criticism and then you're going to say that it's mental abuse over the internet when you're the one that clicked on the video, give me a break. That, ladies and gentlemen, is how fragile our society has become. And you think that many people aren't going to make it during a real crisis? I mean, we've had real crises in our recent history. In the last 100 years, you think this last 3 years here was a real crisis? All it was an overreach of power, in my opinion. But look at the real crises that we've had in the last 100 years. Society is not going to make it for the most part because most of society is just like what I explained. There's people that have a victim mentality that are always looking for reasons and excuses as to why they are not where they want to be in life, and then they have to tell you, you're being mean to me. Well, if that's what you think, I apologize first and foremost because I don't mean to be mean to anyone. But, if you think I'm being mean to you, then just click off and do yourself a favor, right? And I want to tell you about why that ticked me off. About them saying that this is an infomercial. Look, I called Becky from Nutrient Survival, I don't know, about a week ago or so. And I said, hey, Becky, it was after the new year. So it was, I don't know, maybe less than a week or so. I said, hey, Becky, check this out. Usually the first month of the year, people are a little bit down. Why? Because all of the, good feelings from the holidays and all that kind of stuff, it's all gone away. Now they're looking at their credit card bills and they're saying, man, look at all of this money that I'm going to have to pay now. And then by now you should understand that debt equals labor. You're going to have to labor for that money to pay that debt back. So I say, usually the first month of the year, people are a little bit down. Why don't we do something to hook them up? Why don't you come on our show? And I even asked her, why don't you do a giveaway? I asked her, why don't you do a giveaway? And she said, you know what she said? She's like, absolutely. And I told her, I said, for real? And I said, and then I started explaining myself. I said, it's because I'm going to be giving away a couple ounces of silver and this and that. And I just thought that it'd be awesome if you came on and did a little bit of a giveaway. And I said, what do you want to give away? And she says, well, why don't we give away a couple of those 5-day reboot kits? Ladies and gentlemen, Becky ended up giving away. I did the math. And with the stuff that she decided to give away, it was like $500. And people are complaining about that. She didn't have to do that. And something that most people don't know is that Nutrient Survival, they're not even profitable. Their company's only like 2.5 years old. They don't even make a profit. But I can call Becky or even Eric if I wanted to call Eric and say, hey, can you come on and do a giveaway? And of course they're going to promote their products. What do companies do? But how many companies have you seen go out of their way to go on a live stream to give away stuff? And what are companies there for? They're there to sell a product. So if you want to go and spend your money on a 3-month supply of food for $199 from some company that spends hundreds of thousands of dollars advertising on YouTube and all these web pages that you go to, then go ahead. It's your money. But you're going to get what you pay for. Do you really think that those people, that those companies really care about you? Have you ever seen those companies come out and say, hey, let's do a giveaway for nothing in return? No, ladies and gentlemen. I'm proud to be affiliated with Nutrient Survival. And by the way, listen to this. Eric, the CEO of Nutrient Survival, he went up to Becky and said, hey, why don't we do something for the AP community? Let's give them a AP15 code for 15% off. He didn't have to do that. But I'm proud of Nutrient Survival, and that's why I champion Nutrient Survival, because their people are awesome. They don't have to give anything away. They don't have to be on any live stream. They can be like most companies and sit behind the darn curtain and then just push their little advertisements and hope that you'll buy some stuff from them without ever making a connection with you, the people. So for people that have a problem with the affiliates that I have, Nutrient Survival, best darn long-term food storage, freeze-dried food storage there is in the market, period. You get exactly what you pay for. It is the Cadillac of freeze-dried foods, per none. Right? Contingency Medical, go and try and get a better deal than what Contingency Medical offers, and try to get a better representation through their customer service. I just received an email early today from a gentleman saying, thank you so much for introducing us to Contingency Medical. We didn't even know that this was out there, and now my wife and I have it. And he even followed up with telling me, I just want to let you know that we had a small problem with one of our antibiotics on our package, and we contacted customer service and they fixed it right away. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you these products because I am proud of them, because I think that they are a good product. To me, they may be a great product to me, and to you it may be a terrible product. But without me putting it out there, then people like the gentleman that emailed me today, he would have probably never known about it. Or maybe he would have known about it 6 months from now or years from now. Who knows? But I only bring to you the things that I myself would purchase, and I do purchase. I'm going to do a payday prep here in a few days of what? You'll see. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the Contingency Medical, I purchased that stuff. I got one for everyone in my family now. I got a package for everyone in my family, and every year I'm going to renew the subscription and get another 4 packets until I have enough where I'm comfortable with knowing that if someone in my community needs it, I can go ahead and freely give it away because they need it and I have enough for myself. With OPS, the OPS solar generator, I think it's an awesome solar generator. Unfortunately, I can't buy solar generators up here as easily as somewhere in the lower 48. So thank goodness that OPS actually reached out to me when I first started doing their reviews, and they send me solar generators so that I can review, and I get to keep them. But how do the people benefit from it? Well, the way that the people benefit from it is they're introduced to a new system, and they're told about it by someone that I hope that by now you would have some trust in, because I don't think that I've lied to you since I've started doing this channel. And then you can decide whether you want to buy it or not. What's wrong with that? What is wrong with that? Why do people think that they are owed something? If you are a person that thinks that you are owed something, if you are a person that thinks that you are a victim of circumstance just because you're not where you want to be in your life, then you have to look at yourself in the mirror. But anyways, I told you I was going to rant. I told you I was going to rant, so it was fair warning. I just want to tell you all that I appreciate every single one of you, but every once in a while, I have to put something like this out there, because the bigger that a channel gets, I've noticed, you know, the more that come that maybe shouldn't be there. And I don't care about the numbers. Trust you, I don't care about the numbers. All I care is about the quality of the people that are here, the quality of the Alaska Prepper community, of the people within it. This community is not about me, it's about us. And I want people that are here that want to be here. So if I wake up tomorrow or whenever I check my analytics next and I say, oh my goodness, I lost 2,500 subscribers. It's just a number, ladies and gentlemen. It's just a number. So I want you to be here because you want to be here, because you want to be part of an awesome community. And you know, I want to say this because it's true. but I love you all. But AP, how can you love us all? You don't even know us all. Well, I don't know. I don't know how that works. I don't know how that works, but I just know that I do. And I want to be here for a long time, going through this journey with you, not just on preparedness, but on all sorts of different things, on things that we need to know, on things that I find interesting. Because if I didn't find the things that I talked about interesting, then I wouldn't be doing this. I want to be on this journey with you, and I want you to be there right along with me. And I just want you to know that I will never screw you over, period. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just using screwed over as a lack for a better word, but I will never screw you over. Because why? What sense does it make? And if I bring you something, if I tell you, hey, I think this is a good product, I think this is great, I think you ought to have this, I think you ought to do payday preps, I think you ought to be stocked up for 6 months, it's because I believe it. I believe it. Again, I'm not perfect, but what I tell you, I believe. And then that's why I always tell you, you have to do your own research, because we're all different. Having said that, man, I probably made this video super, super long, and I don't even know what I'm going to title it. Have a great day, ladies and gentlemen. I hope to see you tomorrow during Sunday's live stream at 9 a.m. Alaska time, 1 p.m. Eastern time, right? I love all of you. I hope that you're all having a great year. Look at yourselves in the mirror and ask you, what do I want to improve this year? Because there's always room for improvement. God bless every one of you. Remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place, and you know that it will be a better place. Many blessings to every one of you and your families. I'm Alaska Prepper. I'm out.